Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain.
Out of a sea of endless terror and into a world of eternal damnation. What's in the living hell is on board. Those who survived the ghost ship are better off dead, for it's not just a ship, it's a killing machine. This is the Cult Faction Podcast, episode 75, Spotlight on Death Ship.
He's going to be complaining all night now that his throat hurts.
Your mum's throat hurts. What was that? It was behind me. I'm not sure. This is the Cult Faction Podcast, episode 75, Spotlight on Death Ship. Halloween is lurking upon us, and so is the Death Ship. And as we record in the darkness of night with candles lighting up our desks, we turn around the table to see what scary plights we've all been through this past week. Paul.
Work. That was quite scary.
How scary?
Well, not as scary as your pirate accent, but it was,
Are you ready?
yeah, no, it's fine. Just the usual birthday party. It seemed to be becoming quite the routine for us at the moment. Going out, hanging out together. That's about it. Just chilling out with the kids, watching Hocus Pocus 2. Done.
That is it.
Pretty much, yeah. Just enjoying autumn.
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 I was going to say the autumnal vibe, but yeah.
I'm enjoying autumn. And you, Damien? Are you enjoying autumn?
I'm loving autumn. It's cooler in here, which is nice. Not quite cold enough to put the heating on, so that's a good thing. I too went to a birthday party. Kind of had to because it was here in this pub, so that was handy. And that's about it. Nothing scary really. I've had to put a presentation together for work, which I've got to give tomorrow, but that's not particularly scary. That's just something you got to do.
No spinning ghosts or anything in the PowerPoint.
A big scream as you click to the next slide.
No.
Transitions, I believe they're called in the
That's
trade.
right, they are called transitions. Maybe if it was actually closer to proper Halloween, then maybe I would, but...
Although now I'm thinking about doing that at school. Just
Yeah.
What about you, Summers?
Yeah. I too went to a party and you guys were there.
Oh,
It was birthday-tastic.
not only do we podcast together, but it seems like we party together.
All we do. That's Cult Faction. And I'm enjoying the autumn fashions because it's autumn. And
You're just
I
wearing
don't
a
know why, but
t-shirt.
that just sounded pervy. Is it me?
Yeah.
Or... And there's no reason for it to sound pervy, but
No,
it just
I mean,
did.
if he'd have said, I'm liking the summer fashions now, all the girls
Yeah.
wearing skirts and everything.
you know, it's autumn. It's like jumpers and big coats.
Yeah, but you're wearing
Yeah.
a t-shirt.
That's because I'm a laid-back, summery kind of guy. It's in the name.
Yeah, but if you'd said, yeah, I'm enjoying the
Well, to
autumn
be fair,
fashion,
it is 19 degrees in here. You wouldn't want to be wearing much more than a t-shirt.
I'm comfortable.
I haven't finished Hocus Pocus 2 yet, but I have seen Hocus Pocus now after
I've still not seen it.
30 years.
Don't know. It was the 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was about 25, 30 years
It was
ago.
all right, wasn't it? The way everyone was going on about it, though. And because I'll be honest, I don't remember anyone going on about Hocus Pocus until they said they were making Hocus Pocus 2.
No.
no.
No. Definitely a lot of people going on about it.
Neve and Kira used to love it. Actually, we watched it a couple of weeks ago. And then Hocus Pocus 2 came out and Neve was straight on that.
I remember hearing of it, but not like now everyone's got Hocus Pocus t-shirts and diaries and
Yeah, but
pop figures and
you haven't got kids, so when it comes up to Halloween and you want to put on a
yeah, but I
Halloween
was when
type
the first
film,
one came out. That's what I'm saying. Is it something that's grown
well,
through
you
the
weren't
years?
you weren't really a
know.
kid though, were you? Let's face it.
It was mid to late 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I
Don't
think
Google it. Let's not go down
No,
that
I think
route.
it was 93. I think we looked it up at the time. It's the year we left school.
Yeah.
It was like 28.
So we're that little bit. It was too old for it, too
Yeah,
young for it, or we're
young
too
for
old
it.
for it.
It had the
Whatever way
dudes from
around it.
Erie, Indiana in it.
I know, but we were still old. It's not aimed at
Okay.
at the age we were
We
then.
wouldn't have gone to the cinema to watch
No.
it.
Yeah.
But then the generation below us
Probably did.
probably did, and that's why it's got the momentum.
Okay. No, I just wondered because it was just one of those sort of.
Just
I
because
knew
it's
it
not on your
existed.
radar doesn't mean
No, I'm just.
other
I knew it
people don't
existed,
like
but
it.
I don't remember it being like a cultural phenomenon, which it seems to be. At the
Again, it's a
moment.
Halloween film. Disney need to throw something out at Halloween, don't they?
Oh,
What
no,
was it?
I
It was
agree.
like the Muppets thing.
say
or
last year
something.
it was Muppets House
Yeah.
of Horror or something like that.
That's all right.
I never actually got around to watching it. Didn't even watch the Undertaker thing in the end.
Oh yeah, with the New Day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't you have to choose your own adventure?
Yeah.
No, I didn't watch it either.
No.
I'd had enough of them on the TV at that point. Yeah, so we've had an exciting week then.
Well,
Yo. Anyone been watching anything apart from Hocus Pocus?
nothing that's worth a mention.
I'm just trying to think, what have I watched? I flipped through a few old Inside Number 9s that I found on the other day. It was just one of those, they were on and I watched it. And they're still good and still on iPlayer.
Yeah, I've revisited them on iPlayer recently. Not each one, just pick the ones that I remember liking.
But, yeah, okay.
スポットライト
Okay, this week the spotlight falls upon Death Ship, the 1980 horror film directed by Alvin Rakoff, the world-famous stage and screen director. This is the guy that gave Sean Connery his first leading role when he was an unknown extra. He gave Alan Rickman his first job when he was a drama student, and also helped in the careers of Michael Crawford, Jeremy Irons, Michael Caine, Laurence Olivier, Peter Sellers, Judi Dench, Rex Harrison, Rod Steiger, Henry Fonda, Ava Gardner, loads more. So this is a director who really knew his apples, as they used to say in the day.
And
But-
then he
Did
made
they?
Death Ship.
and then he made, and then Death Ship was
Yeah,
the only
he's-
horror film that he actually made.
He's new as apples. Actually,
It's
'cause
not
then
a phrase I've heard, I've got to be honest.
Yeah, because then how do you like them apples? Because
Yeah.
they knew the apples.
I get that, I've heard that one.
did he
Right.
cut the mustard?
He did cut
Meet
the
the
mustard,
mustard.
and he knew,
Oh, yeah.
he
Did
knew
he
his
meet the
shit.
mustard?
All right, he knew his shit, man. If we're going to go back there, that's how they probably would have said it in 1980, to be fair. But yeah, it should be noted that for all this acclaim and award-winning moments of his career on the stage and the screen, Death Ship was his only horror film.
Okay.
Just bear that in mind. And the screenplay came from John Robbins and was based on a story by Jack Hill and David P. Lewis, and it was attributed to Robbins for, and I quote, Canadian movie business reasons. So
Read into that what you will.
it's normally to do with tax and accreditation by like the Canadian SAG or whatever it is, but Robbins probably didn't actually write any of it. Right? Upon release, it received mixed to negative reviews, taking 1.75 million at the box office worldwide, but is now considered a cult classic thanks to the home video market. Although it should be noted that for its American release, it only got to 250 theatres in Wisconsin, Texas, and Florida. So I don't think that's that bad.
But there's probably a reason it only got to those 250 theatres and not picked up by the rest.
Yeah, you may be right. But it's, if I was in 250 theatres and made $1.75 million worldwide,
And
Well, it
Texans
depends on how
don't
much
live
it
anywhere
cost.
near the sea, so they might have just wanted to see the water
yeah,
or
they
something.
might have seen the water and see what a ship looks like.
Yeah, after Jaws,
Yeah.
they probably saw that and thought, well, this film might be better. This film might make us want to go to the seaside.
Yeah.
And it,
Yeah, because a film called Death Ship. That's going to encourage you into the sea, isn't it?
Maybe they thought, oh, it's going to kill the sharks.
it done well for tourism. When we look at the cast of Death Ship, it's like a who's who of who. With
A who's who of who.
yeah, I mean, to be fair, we've got Richard Crenna, who would go on to be the general in Rambo. as Trevor Marshall. We've got George Kennedy, Naked Gun, Cool Hand Luke as the crazy captain. Straight to video's favourite, Nick Mancuso from Under Siege 1 and 2. Sally Ann Howes, the truly scrumptious from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
I used to like her
in her last ever film role.
Yeah.
We've also got Victoria Burgoyne, the classic English actress who would find fame in Howard's Way. Danny Hyam as Ben Marshall, the little kid who did 2 episodes of The Letless Hobo. I would like that checked. An early appearance of Saul Rubinek, who would end up in Warehouse 13, True Romance, Unforgiven, loads of stuff like that.
Frasier. Frasier.
Yeah, it was one. Yeah, Murray Crutchley, who
I only know that because I was watching the film when he was in it for like just racking my brains, and I refused to Google it, and it eventually came to me about 20 minutes after he'd been offed. But it's like, yes, I got it without actually.
Because I got him muddled up when I watched it. I thought he was the boss in Diagnosis Murder, but that's the other guy, and that's the guy from Greece or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Was that him or not? Also, Murray Crutchley, who was in all sorts of things in his career, but for the point of Cult Faction, he was Dan the Forest Ranger in The Raccoons.
Cool.
Thought that fits us.
Yeah.
Anthony Sherwood was one of the seamen who was in Scanners and Airwolf Season 4. Do you remember that season where they just rebooted everything and
It's gone off the
everyone
boil
blew
by
up
this
and
point.
It'd gone off everything. And I quote, Adolf Hitler as himself, open brackets, stock footage, close brackets. That's how it's officially listed.
Yeah.
Probably one of Adolf's better films, better than some of the ones he directed himself and got made.
Yeah.
But
Less
yeah.
propagandary than
Yeah.
most of his other work.
Well, he wasn't really negative about it and decided to take over a country as retaliation for the film being so bad.
But yeah, the need to put that in, I'm not sure, but they did. Okay, moving on with the plot. The film opens and we get some real moody point of view shots, which is a bit Jaws-like, and we assume it to belong to the aforementioned death ship because it doesn't tell us. And there's some really cool 80s kind of music drumming along the top that doesn't sound like Jaws or... Oh, it did remind me of something, but I've forgotten now. But it's just a bit... what's that thingy? Napalm in the Morning.
Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, there's a bit of that kind of classical, not the Doors bit, but later on. But yeah, anyway, so we got this point of view. It's moving around. What's it doing? Where's it going? Then we see a cruise liner, and we meet Captain Ashland, played by the legendary George Kennedy, who is leading his cruise ship on its final voyage.
His final voyage.
Read that wrong. His
Although it does turn out to be
voyage.
its final voyage, to be fair.
And it's attended by his replacement, Trevor Marshall, played by Richard from Rambo Crenna, who has brought his family along. Now, Captain Ashland doesn't seem to be the most likeable person.
No,
to me.
he's a bit of a knob.
He doesn't like people, does
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like anything.
he?
Yeah.
No.
In fact, with what happens later, I'm just like, was that what he was like anyway?
Yeah.
You know, there was no big... He needed to be happy and friendly here for what happens
For that
later
to make any
any
difference.
difference.
Yeah.
Although we do find out there may be a reason why he's such a, being so moody.
Oh, that's true.
That's
And
true. But also, maybe because he's such a knob, he's open to that possession.
He's susceptible.
Susceptible, that's the one.
Ah, good point. So anyway, in the middle of the night, following a routine Caribbean route, their radars detect a mysterious black freighter on a collision course that matches their headings regardless of the evasive maneuvers they take. The bit on the radar was just a reverse bit from the 1970s King Kong movie.
Yeah. I was going to say it looks like an island.
Yeah, it was just sort of, they flipped it back, reversed it. And look, money well spent. Anyway, despite Ashland's best efforts, the boats collide, sinking the cruise ship and taking with it most of her crew and passengers, apart from the ones we may have seen in passing camera movements.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were the only ones there the whole time.
Yeah. So
A great opener that
discuss.
sets the scene.
is it though?
Well, it does set the scene, to be fair.
Is it a great opening though?
No, but it does set the scene. We got moody, miserable captain who's happily retiring. And we've got his young upstart replacement who's happy to take
Oh,
over.
when you say young, it's Richard Crenna.
Younger.
Yeah. I mean, the cool thing about that is it's just Richard Crenna's voice, isn't it? As soon as I found out he was in the film, I was actually quite looking forward to it. But in the back of my head, it's like, we're going to need a lot more body bags or whatever it says.
Was it him that was knocking off the English dancer as well?
No.
Was that
No, that's the other one.
What? Did you not watch the
Yeah,
film?
I'm just trying to remember, because
Wait,
later on,
that
guy just vanished, and it was like...
No, he's on the boat. He's on the life raft.
But going back to when we get to that, George Kennedy's on the boat before they pull him out of the water.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And we're going to see a lot of inconsistencies as we go through. So first of all, it starts off with the death ship, which isn't very exciting.
Well, we don't know what it is at the beginning.
Well, all right, but even you've got the suspenseful music. But the thing's called Death Ship, and it just looks like they've got some stock footage of a freighter. So we see that. Then, there's a bit where they're all having a party. Moody captain, fine, I can do that. Then we go for almost like some early 80s, late 70s slapstick tickle, or whatever it is, where the crew members getting off with the guest.
She's a dancer, wasn't she? Or was that her job?
What? I thought
It's never actually explained whether she's part. Well,
she
Well,
said
no,
she
she's
was
getting
a
off.
dancer.
yeah,
Yeah,
She
but
was
said
getting-
she's
she
getting
was
off,
getting
and
off.
you're going to miss me.
She was getting off.
yeah. She's not part of the crew though. She's
No.
she's just a part of the entertainment crew. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way,
Yeah.
it's never really. Yeah, it's difficult because they're at a costume party, so
Hasn't he got a monkey mask on or something as
Yeah.
well when he's dancing?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
So it's ending up in like almost a Poseidon. Jesus Christ! What is it? Poseidon.
Yeah, Poseidon
Yeah,
Adventure.
you're right,
Adventure,
you're
yeah.
right.
But slightly less budget, or of that feel to it. And then we get the.
Sorry, but if you look closely, none of them are dancing to the same music because we all know that
Yeah.
they don't play the music when they're
Yeah,
shooting
yeah.
because it interferes with everything. But if you watch the crowd scenes, it's like there's no music. They're just making this up as they go along.
Then we come to the radar blip, which for some reason is an island.
From King Kong.
Yeah, and you're there saying, well, okay.
Yeah, how much do you save in budget by using that instead of?
I'm sure that they could have done something, but we get that, and for whatever reason, that they can't just avoid the freighter, even though they've seen it for ages.
Well,
They
of course, correct.
funny, it's-
still
I
going for
know,
it.
but Jesus, it's a freighter. Yeah, they could at least turn around or try and outrun it, but oh no. Anyway, so then it crashes. We don't actually see much in the way of collision or crashing. And then
The crash you see, I think, again, is I've forgotten now, but it's from another. I think we mentioned it's on the notes later on. I think it's from another film.
yeah, and it looks like it. So you see the bits of the water coming in
Yeah.
a ship. It may not be that one, but hey. And then instantly we cut to a raft. Where
Okay, you're going to get to this is the bit. This is your bit.
This is your
so,
bit
you
now,
know.
Paul. It's
Oh,
the next
okay.
day. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we've had the crash, and most of the crew and passengers are dead, or are they? Anyway, the next day, a handful of survivors, conveniently most of the ones that we've actually seen over the last 5 minutes. Marshall, his wife Margaret, their children Robin and Ben, a young officer named Nick. That was getting it together with his love interest Laurie the night before. The ship's comic Jackie and a passenger, Mrs. Morgan, are adrift on a large piece of wreckage or a raft, something like that. Ashland surfaces nearby and he's brought aboard, barely conscious. Later, the survivors come upon the black freighter, unaware it's the ship that attacked them because they're stupid. Finding a boarding ladder slung from the stern, they climb aboard, but not before the ladder plunges into the sea. As the officers try to climb it with the injured Ashland.
Who's clearly just wearing a wig and it's
Yeah.
someone
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Suddenly got twice the amount of hair.
Yeah.
When all are finally aboard, Jackie tries to rally the survivors with humour, but a cable seizes him by the ankle and he is swung outboard by one of the ship's cranes, which lowers him into the water before cutting him loose to be swept astern and lost.
Yeah, there's a way of getting rid of a comic by not liking his jokes.
Yeah. So
There's so much.
everyone else is dead. They're on a raft.
But it was like everyone's dead. There's not
Yeah.
one person anywhere.
It's like there's hundreds and hundreds of passengers on a cruise ship,
Yeah.
and yet only 5, 6 of them, whatever it is.
And that ship went down
Survive.
quicker than the Titanic.
Yeah.
There was not even a trace of it in the water. Nothing sticking out apart from the one bit they're floating on the sort of boat thing.
I did. It was a nice touch. There were some bodies floating, which are clearly just people actually floating, because they're in that star position that we're all now told to do via public information adverts and stuff. So it's like, I don't think a real dead body would float arms out and legs out. It would be.
It depends.
Whoever it
Maybe
fell.
that's how they jumped off the boat. And just did a big belly flop and just landed like that.
But it didn't make me laugh that over the big pan shot from above, like obviously from a helicopter or something. The captain's in the boat, and then they pull him out.
Then he's not in the boat. Yeah.
It's just, and if he'd been floating there that long,
Yeah,
he'd be
especially
dead.
under the water like
Yeah.
he has been.
Face down.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Maybe
that's
this is
the
it.
point, yeah.
Maybe he is actually dead. We just don't know it.
That would make more sense.
It would actually. They could have put that in there, and it would have done away with any of
And
this
then
nonsense.
then we get to the ship and we have the whole debacle of climbing aboard the ladder. I'm sorry, but if this was a comedy, I think it would have actually been quite funny.
I mean, obviously we've got what's his name, who is in Naked Gun later in his career, but it almost does have an airplane feel to it, doesn't it?
But this is trying to be serious.
Yeah.
I mean, again, because we've spoken about the fact that whoever is playing the captain has the dodgiest wig I've ever seen. I mean,
Yeah, it's almost as bad as the fight scenes in the old Star Trek, where it clearly isn't Captain Kirk. It's like someone who's like 20 with like a wig on.
What are you saying?
Yeah.
Don't you diss Star Trek.
Stunt double. It was like Spaceballs. They call it his stunt double. It was like they
Why
managed
do you
to get
think
him up
Tom
the stairs.
Cruise gets his, whole I'm doing my own stunts? William Shatner, my friend. Shatner did it all.
Yeah, well, he did once.
He's even been into space, let's not forget. Anyway,
Yeah,
carry on.
that is true. Sorry for dissing your hero.
Yeah, so they're carrying the captain up these steps in the stupidest way possible. I mean, they've never heard of the fireman's lift or anything like that.
Literally under the arms, under the legs.
Yeah.
But what
Although,
made
to be
me
fair,
laugh?
they are on a rather rickety sort of raft that's just literally, so to be able to stand up and then get a man of his bulk onto your shoulders, it's not going to be, it's not easy to stand up on a paddleboard, let alone, a makeshift raft.
Neither of those two should have been able to lift him either.
No, exactly.
Well, that's
He's
why
a-
he needed a stunt double.
I mean, he's a big dude anyway.
Yeah.
I don't mean that just as well. He was like a big dude in his prime. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, go back to Cool Hand Luke. He was a stocky dude who could probably knock a few men out for spilling his pint. And, so they're carrying him on board on steps that, even before they disappeared, didn't look the safest, even for the actors. And then walk up these stairs, and they're probably, what, these stairs? Like, yeah, it'll be fine.
I wouldn't have stunt double like he's got.
You're not George Kennedy. You're only... Yeah, whatever. You've got to do it.
Yeah.
Man, that was bad.
Yeah, and the first thing the boy does when he gets to the top of the stairs is need a pee or something, so he runs
Oh,
off.
so, throughout
was
the
the
film,
one
those
bit
two
I
little
liked.
shits keep running off.
That was the one bit I really liked. Because nowhere in those films, after we've been in the sea for 12 hours, I'm just going to go for a piss. And he does. He just pisses there. And I was like, fair play, kid. I think...
Bit of realism, I guess.
Was it 24? It wasn't until about season 7 where, Jack Bauer, he got back to CTU and they're like, Jack, we need to do this. He goes, right, I just need to go to the toilet first. It's like, after, however long, he's finally gone to the loo. But, yeah, fair play to the kid. But then what about the tragic death of the ship comedian, though?
Again, if that was a comedy, I'd say that would be quite funny.
I like the fact that it loops around his ankle, and then when he's being held up, you can clearly see it's attached to, I think it's his waist, or it's attached further up his leg or something. And if he had been looped around the ankle, how does the ship then let go of him? Because, a loop like that just pulls tight and that's it. You need to manually intervene to unlock.
What about the fact that we got a tragic death of a character that only got 4 lines anyway before that?
Yeah, it's not very impactful, is it?
It's like, 'cause I think that was the one that was supposed to shock us that anything could happen, But it's like, oh, that guy got killed. Was he the singer? Was he on? I didn't realise he was a comedian till it said he was the comedian.
He was the one getting up at the start.
Yeah, but I just thought he was like the compare, the kind of...
No, because the captain said, "Oh, not this guy. He's not very funny." fed up with listening to him.
Yeah, but he moaned about everyone. So
Yeah.
the kid spoke to him and he moaned at the kid. So it wasn't.
But then he did show a little lighter side by pinching his cheek.
No,
I thought he was trying to hurt him.
I just felt uncomfortable when
Nah, that's the old, Grandpa Joe thing, innit? Or
Maybe.
I don't know. I wasn't sure. He should have been CRB. Well, he should have definitely been CRB by the end. But yeah. Go on, then. Moving on.
before we move on, have we got any room to talk about Mrs. Morgan? I mean, what's her deal? She gets introduced midway through a conversation in a corridor. She seems to. I think we're supposed to assume she's a sort of God-fearing, Middle America Bible Belt
Widow type.
widow woman. She's almost dressed like she's from the times of the witch trials type thing.
It's a cruise. You need an old crony on the cruise.
Exactly. It's just a bit of a strange character to introduce.
Well,
anyway,
they needed an old person for what happens later.
Yeah.
It was probably for all the people of Texas and Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So she's big in Wisconsin, so
Yeah.
they needed to give her a role,
Okay.
Play into their strange their markets.
All right. Shocked, the survivors explore the corridors of the empty, echoing vessel, finding only cobwebs and 1930s memorabilia. Hatches open and close all by themselves. Lights go on and off, while a swinging block knocks out Nick.
Give or take the odd hand that you can clearly see doing it. Sorry.
And a couple of shadows of the
Oh yeah.
the camera.
Sorry.
That's right. Yep. So. A swinging block knocks out Nick, who's exploring the above deck. Meanwhile, a delirious Aslan hears a mysterious, disembodied voice speaking to him in German. The others finally set up a dusty bunk room and they separate to retrieve supplies and the injured captain. Mrs. Morgan finds a gramophone and a movie projector that suddenly turn on by themselves. While watching the film, which is 1936's Everything is Rhythm.
Which is clearly out of copyright.
That's how they could use it. Yeah. And eating a piece of hard candy from one of the ship's cupboards, she begins decomposing and becomes grotesquely deformed. Terrified, she stumbles back to the bunk room where a possessed Aslan strangles her.
Not her best day.
No. Again, did we notice that when they have a close-up of the sweets in the jar, they're all wrapped in cellophane, and yet when she opens it and just takes one out, doesn't unwrap it, so it's clear they're clearly no longer wrapped up, and she just puts it in her mouth.
Maybe that's why she turned into a monster.
I just found the whole thing a bit bizarre. Okay, so they're all on board some random ship where they can't find anyone. Let's all split up and have a look around.
They keep splitting up.
It's like an episode of Scooby-Doo. It's like, well, no, let's all stick together because we don't know what kind of ship it's on. Let's try and find some weapons first. Of anything, let's make some weapons and let's go hunting for who's in charge of this ship.
Well, I don't know necessarily. I mean, that's a big leap to make to start looking for weapons. I mean,
well,
as far as they're concerned,
one of their people
but he
killed.
hasn't. But for all intents and purposes, it looks like a tragic accident.
That was a freak accident.
Yeah.
The crane moved
Yeah, but they don't know that.
and lowered,
It's windy.
and then
Yeah.
it let him go from a lasso type thing.
Yeah, but
It's
they're
really
still
windy.
unsure.
It's really windy. Yeah, it was just weird. Like I say, Mrs. Morgan was basically introduced just for this scene.
Yeah.
They needed someone else to die, and then they were like,
Well, let's face it, the comedian's gone. He didn't
it.
last long, did he?
No, and he was probably one of the most famous. It was
I don't think he was at the time, but
that's true. He was on his
yeah.
way up.
That's all right. It's like Game of Thrones now. Get rid of the big actors.
Yeah.
Start
Yeah.
with anyone's a target.
I mean, the rooms, I think, go to show that sometimes sets can make all the difference in a horror film.
yeah.
But it is. But then the minimalist bunk thing, that would have been what they were like.
Yeah, but I don't think a 1930s vessel that had been set up by the German military would have had sort of plush wooden doors, and I think it would have been much more industrial looking than it actually is. They've clearly commandeered a modern vessel or just built soundstage or whatever, and not really given a lot of thought. Just sticking the odd picture of I think it's Greta Garbo or Eva.
Well, it's just like put some fairy things out or something.
Yeah.
German.
And cobwebs.
Yeah, and cobwebs. I mean, what are the spiders eating?
Yeah, good point.
This has been sailing around the seas for the last 40 years, 50 years.
The flies.
Might be
But-
flies.
Is there a lot of
Maybe.
flies out? I mean,
But
you
then
know,
the flies need
there's
to
only
be
so
attached to
long
something.
a generation can
But you
keep.
don't know how long this has been going on, and they might have been getting loads more bodies, and they'd be decomposing
This
for
is
the
true, I
flies and
suppose,
maggots.
but you still, yeah, all right. Got a particular colony of flies that just solely live on the ship.
Nazi flies.
Nazi flies. Cool,
Not-
fair
not-
enough. I'll give you that.
Yeah, not special Nazi
Although we
flies
don't
that
actually
were
see any
grown in the
spiders,
Nazi lab.
which you know,
We didn't see much.
They couldn't afford the spiders.
yeah.
They spent all their money down the thrift shop getting
the cobwebs.
Garbo posters, yeah.
Yeah.
But the everything and ribbon thing was a weird. It just must be like it was an old film that was out of copyright.
It's got to be
they
because
could
let's
get
be
a hand
honest. Would it again? This is supposed to be a 1930s, or rather 40s, because it's supposed to come from the Second World War. You would imagine that they would have German.
It's
Entertainment.
one to G up the troops
Yeah.
on board.
Well, I went back to this a couple of times, and I was like, "Is there like a secret meaning to
Oh,
like?
God,
is there a
no.
message?
There we
Is
go.
there a- no, but like, does something happen in Everything's a Room? They're a bit like where, he gets murdered by some Nazis or something like that, and
No.
and it's about a band who have to play at a big hotel and put on a big gig.
That's what I mean. So it's
So
just a
there's
random.
yeah, and there's no one in it. There's no like, oh, it was a film.
I think you're making the mistake that they put a lot of thought into the overall plot of this. I think the screenplay was written.
Yeah, but Alvin Rakoff's not a fool.
Well, you say that.
Yeah, but do you think it's one of those where it's like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and they're like, yeah, we're going to give you all this. George Kennedy's in it. We've got this other guy's who's good. Then he got there on the day, and it was like, oh shit,
We
Quite
probably
possible.
should have asked, how much money do we have? What's the budget?
maybe.
Yeah.
'Cause I think most of the budget went on George Kennedy. And Truly Scrumptious, I forgot her name.
Yeah.
And maybe the cast food was like the best you've ever seen, and they stayed at some really fancy hotels. That's how they blew the budget.
Yeah, because it didn't appear on screen much, did it? But yeah, poor old Mrs. Morgan gets turned into a sort of decomposed. Does anyone else even see her?
Not
I'm trying to
really. No.
remember.
No one sees her other than when she's dead and he
Later
pulls.
on, yeah.
Yeah.
So they spent all that money on that, and then she just runs into the captain who strangles her anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, and he's already sort of being Nazi'd up.
Yeah. Nazi'd up.
So it's like, yes, okay, so move on. I just, it's a lot of setup for nothing.
Yeah, it's
That's
a
what
waste.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
She
Absolutely.
could have scared the kids.
Yeah.
You got two kids there. The scary old granny who tapped her on the
Actually,
shoulder.
no, she does.
Yeah,
yeah,
but
the
that's
kids-
when, but that's when she's not chasing them, is she? Or
No.
anything? Like,
But she does.
Yeah.
They do see her, and then that's when they run off to search for their
Well,
dad.
like,
the boy probably needs a wee.
Yeah.
Not like, do you want a candy?
Yeah.
You've got candy there. You've got a scary granny. I'm like, do it.
Yeah. Exactly.
It was a set piece there, but no.
No, it should have been an instant rather than her being aware that she's
Yeah.
deformed. It
Yeah.
should have just been an instant kind of possession type thing where she's now trying to lure
there
the
was-
kids into.
There was more to play.
Eating
with.
Almost like
candy.
Evil Dead.
Yeah.
That would have been
Oh
cool.
yeah. Mm.
I mean, cool, yeah. I'm up for that. But yeah, so Ashton strangles her, and he's now awake, and he's wandering around, and he appears to be sort of possessed. He's heard this German voice, and now he's possessed, apparently, and we're guessing by the ship's dead captain. And to just prove the point, he dons I believe, is it the Kriegsmarine? Is that how you say it? Or is it
Krieg.
Kriegsmarine?
As in
Krieg?
Blitzkrieg, so
Blitzkrieg,
Kriegsmarine.
Kriegsmarine, yeah. I was right. So he's got he finds a uniform there that fits him because
Yeah.
they did him that
And
big
it's
in
nice
those
and
days.
clean and
And
everything.
it's
You know.
clean and it's all polished up and
Yeah.
bronze buttons and because he wouldn't have probably been in the
Well, maybe that's what.
normal-
Maybe he's cleaned it all up because he looks the type that he
Oh,
wouldn't just
yeah.
put a uniform on. He'd buff it all.
Yeah,
and-
he would have done that before he was possessed because
Yeah.
he does look that tight. Yeah, but they had one in his size, despite the fact he probably wouldn't have made it into the army
No.
at that shape or size. But hey, it's George Kennedy,
His Navy.
I don't know.
Navy. So
One of the head Nazi officers in LOLO was rather large.
Yep.
Yeah, and we trust that as the historical source that it is.
I learned everything I know about the Second World War from Hello Hello.
Yeah, luckily the foreign Madonna with the big boobies doesn't come past on this ship. And but yeah, he's
Gruber, that was his name.
Not Hans Gruber.
no, it was his,
The other famous German from a film.
he was his father. That's what got messed up. His dad was bombing the cafe in France. Yeah, so he's captain now. He's saying he's captain. He's possessed. He's Nazi'd up in the uniform. And while all that's going on, Marshall and Nick make a chilling discovery. It turns out the ship was once a Nazi prison ship, and the ghosts of the inmates and crew are only still on board. Although we don't really see them at all.
No, we don't really. They might discover it, but we as the audience don't.
No. It's like, oh, cool. We're going to see like zombies or anything. No. Basically, all we get is George Kennedy and a decomposing granny.
And some
Just trying to-
cobwebs.
And some cobwebs. But anyway, upon visiting the chart room, that you see that the map of the ship's course shows that it just travels around and around the Atlantic in huge circles.
Maybe it's like picking up plastic from the sea. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
If they'd have
Had a bit
thought,
like dragnet behind it.
Yeah.
That just gathered up the plastic at the top of the surface.
I
Top
mean,
of the surface.
you know, get some old passengers from cruise ships as well, because that's polluting the sea, and then pick up the plastic.
But again, apart from your new film about Nazi conservationists who actually want to save the planet. So the two main guys get into the office and they see a chart that shows it just goes around the Atlantic. Where's the fear and the horror in that?
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's just that we don't get any of what they're thinking.
If there was a bit where they went, oh my God, that's where all those ships got smashed up.
Yeah.
Even just that, there's some X's on a map or something. You go, oh yeah, so that's what's we do. You just
Or if it was going around in like a big swastika.
yeah. look at the path it's go. Yeah. But then, so from looking at this map that just shows a circle of it going around the Atlantic, they take it upon themselves to decide that they need to escape. They must desperately escape. But there's nothing there that even shows them they're in peril. Apart from the fact the ship does it on its own, a bit like Knight Rider.
Yeah, we keep getting cuts back to the machinery,
Yeah.
the engine room, and it's a. I mean, that is some of the worst. I mean, you keep saying this director's good, but those shots where it just zooms in on one engine, then zooms back out again, and or pistons, I should say. So it zooms in on a piston, comes out, zooms in on another one, just goes through four
I was
pistons.
just impressed with his sound effect. It was like either the engine was in my ear.
Yeah.
Come on, boy, all. I don't know why I did that.
No,
I apologise to any Welsh listeners.
Oh, it was Welsh, was it?
Exactly.
I thought it was Nazi. Was it Nazi Welsh?
Actually, and whilst we're talking about the screen that keep cutting away, why are we getting sort of flash forwards? We get a flash forward of is it Nick? I can't remember. I didn't even bother remembering their names.
They're getting scary visions, aren't they?
Is that is that? Oh, it's all right. So
That's what I took it as.
Right,
They
they're
can't- all
getting
bad
visions of
dreams or
what's
something,
to
yeah.
come to them. Because we see a shot of him like wading around in the net, and then that happens to him.
Well,
Like,
and luckily they have to film that anyway.
yeah. So, they can
So
just
why
cut
do
that in.
another scene when we can just reuse that
Yeah.
in the edit?
But yeah, after seeing the scary chart of where the boat's been, they're like, we've got to escape. And that they decide to run to the lifeboats, but they're thwarted when the lifeboats lower into the sea by themselves and drift away.
Could they not just jump in?
That's what I thought. Quick, everyone.
Let's
Get to
jump
the
in
top,
and see.
jump in.
Because it wasn't that.
It was quite a nice, calm.
Although I guess you wouldn't want to, because then the freighter would just turn around and kill you anyway.
Apparently so.
Or unless it's on its circled route and it can't deviate
Yeah.
from that.
But despairing, though, the survivors try to get some rest. So after everything
Yeah.
being terrible about it, like, well, we'll just get some rest on this scary boat of death.
Is there anyone got another film to watch with some sweets?
And they get taunted by Ashland as well, who's now prowling the ship's passengers, intended. And the children stumble upon a radio room which starts playing Horst Wessel-Lied. And I guess that's supposed to scare us as well. But knowing that it's German, all we know is that it's just playing German. It's not like it's... I don't know. I don't know what it was trying to do. Now I just think anything German is now bad, isn't it, at this point? You know, that's what they're going for.
In this context.
German equals bad. So it's like, And then later, Laurie goes into a shock when she's having a nice shower, and the water turns to blood, and she like freaks out, goes into shock, walks out onto the deck, and then Ashlyn just easily picks her up above his head and just throws her overboard.
Well, he's possessed now.
Well, he's possessed with a supernatural strength. To be fair, he probably could have done that in real life, but almost
He couldn't climb up a ladder on his own.
Yeah, well, he was unconscious then, but he almost WWE like raised her above his head and just throws her off the boat, and she's eliminated. But the important bit to remember that when they did that scene, they used the blood used in the shower scene was not real, but she was told it was real for effect, just to freak her out even more. The shower scene was shot in one take because it was too expensive to clean up and reshoot.
Yeah.
So pouring some blood through the hose thing that they told her was real blood to freak her out to get a better reaction.
I'm sorry,
Which
but
is nice.
how much money does it take to actually just shower down a shower?
Oh, so he's just got to hose it down, haven't you?
I'm
It's
guessing
not like it was like an expensive white palace.
No.
With white rugs.
I think it's a
everywhere.
bit because Matey tries to smash the door in to get her, doesn't he? When he's clearly not hitting the glass.
No, he's hitting
either.
the wood. Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine Stanley Kubrick on The Shining going, right, I've got this great idea for a scene. Blood everywhere. Stanley, no, can't. That's going to take a crew days to clear up. Oh, okay, fine. I'll think of something else.
And also, I mean, it is an overly long scene.
Yeah, well,
It's
again,
properly exploitative.
early 80s, they needed
Yeah.
a naked woman in it.
Yeah, but it goes on a bit, doesn't it?
Oh, it does, yeah.
I just find it ironic that she ended up being famous for Howard's Way after getting killed on Death Ship.
Wow.
You think she'd be staying well clear of the sea from now on, wouldn't you?
Should have stayed away from Howard's Way.
Although, I mean, did we ever actually see her on a boat in Howard's Way? Because most of it was set around the office. It was a bit expensive to go take one of the yachts out. So.
I don't think we saw her in a shower either.
No.
She's scared of boats and scared of showers now.
I don't think I ever saw Howard's Way. I remember the theme tune.
I remember watching it.
Yeah, I watched
but
it.
it's obviously-
Funny.
it
Oh,
was
no,
too long
that
ago.
was something else. Wasn't it?
Always there.
Anyway.
Do, do, do.
Okay,
Anyway.
so let's carry on with this.
But I do. I would
Oh,
say
no, we're not.
sorry. No, I was going to say. I think this is an important bit because this is almost now. This is the crossroads.
Wait, did you just want to get another soap opera in?
No. No, I think that scene just shows the crossroads of horror of the past to where horror is going. At sort of 1980, 81. You know, we've had Halloween. We've had the
Friday the 13th.
Maybe the first couple of Friday the 13th, or at least the first one. We haven't gone full slasher yet.
We've had The Omen.
We're still ghost possession supernatural, and we're still like it's not a horror film unless you see some boobs.
Yep.
But
To be fair, it wasn't an 80s film if you didn't
Yeah.
see some boobs.
Yeah.
but now we're moving across. It's almost like that sort of crossroads of a scene, and maybe of a film. Maybe we should discuss that a bit later. But it's almost that changing of the guard of what makes or what is sort of a horror film. that's
We're
popular.
still
I see what
classing
you're
us as
saying.
horror, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, just wondered.
You know,
No, I
it's
do get
almost
what you're
that-
saying,
because they're
but-
going for the possession, the blood, the guts, the gore.
See, I think it's the opposite. I think it's we've already had some of these films.
Yeah.
Friday the I think the 13th was already.
Yeah, I think the
And
first
the
one's
second
out.
one.
The first one's out.
I think
Maybe
they were already on the
one's
second one.
Second one's about the same time.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
And like you say, Halloween. So instead of it being like a kind of like you just said, changing the guard, I think it's let's put this in there to appeal to that style of
yeah.
filmmaking
Yeah.
or that audience, as well as the
That's
classic.
What I mean. They're just,
So
yeah,
it's-
it's the
it-
crossover type. That's what
Well,
I
no,
mean,
no,
isn't
because
it?
you're giving it more credit than it deserves. It's let's chuck this in there.
No, I think I'm not saying that's what they got. This is, I think, what they were trying to do of that kind of.
Yeah, they were trying to do that, but I don't think it was a. This is the point where it all changed. No, this is them jumping on a
No,
bandwagon.
I mean the thinking of it in Hollywood. You know, like we need to change. No, we need to be going this way or that way. And what we ended up with was almost prisoner cell blockade on a boat. But what they were intending was like something completely different. You know, that the thinking of what it goes into a horror film nowadays.
Okay, I still think you're giving him too much credit,
Yeah.
but yeah,
But almost the boat's the slasher, that sort of thing.
the boat is the slasher.
Oh, yeah, you can't say that because, I mean, Stephen King's novels were out before this.
Yeah, you had Christine,
Yeah.
the car, Jobby,
Fog.
Fog. Although there's still they're not
Spielberg's
physical,
first-
but
well, Spielberg's first
they are
one with the
human
lorry.
killers, if you see what I mean.
What's the one with the lorry?
Jewel.
Spielberg's first-
Jewel.
Jewel. Yeah, that sort of thing.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Marshall and Nick are attacked by the piercing whine of the ship's electronics as the projector now begins showing old newsreel footage of Adolf.
In his best role.
Nick lunges at Ashland, but instead plunges into a net holding skeletal remains where Ashland drowns him. Well, technically, the net drowns him. Ashland
You don't see it as it just closes over, don't you? So
Oh, that killed him.
Yeah, but I was expecting it to be like it comes back.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. No,
Yeah.
it was more like an 80s kids show where they just get
Yeah.
hit by two
Yeah.
rubbery walls.
Yeah.
And that's him dead. It's him done
Yeah, because
now.
it's not even the old TV film role of if you don't see the body, they're not dead. They don't even follow that, do they?
No.
It's just like, he's done, he's paid,
Yep,
off you go.
off
We
you
won't
trot.
pay him no more. Sorry, Paul, carry on.
No, it's fine. Ashland tells Marshall that the ship is possessed by the spirits of its long dead crew and hunts other boats in its path, destroying them and luring the survivors on board to kill them and feed on their blood. Well, they probably shouldn't kill most of the survivors on the ships then, should they? Because
No.
then they'd get more blood.
Mm.
Marshall manages to stab a gloating Ashland, apparently killing him and stopping the ship. Searching below, Marshall finds a life raft in a freezer full of the frozen bodies of downed RAF airmen and Soviet sailors. But as the children are jumping overboard, Margaret is captured by a resurrected Ashland and is trapped in a chain locker. Marshall is knocked out by Ashland, but awakens in time to find Margaret, who has escaped from the locker. Captain Ashland attempts to shoot the escaping Marshall family.
How she escaped? She's rather happily pushed into the locker. She doesn't put up much of a fight.
No.
And then it just she's just cowering in the corner, going, and then next thing you know, she's managed to get out.
She had enough.
Yeah,
She
but
had enough.
show us how she escapes from this inescapable bunker.
On Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Clearly. But yeah, again, lots of cool stuff in this that just gets rushed.
But hold on, when you say cool stuff, is that because a lot of frozen bodies and
Yeah,
stuff?
it wasn't a pun intended, but that scene in itself, the walking through the freezer of all the people on hook, could have been really cool.
Yeah.
But it's almost like they walked through it, and they probably spent a week setting that up, and then walked through it in like 10
Yeah.
seconds. There's been other films where there's been people in fridges on hooks and things like that, and they've made a big deal out of it. Turn them around, the eyes open.
Exactly. That's what I was hoping for. Was a kind of.
I thought they were going to carve.
thing.
That's what I thought. Here we go. They're going to kick it in now.
Yeah.
And no, they didn't.
No.
Even Hitler's cameo is a bit played down. He doesn't add anything he hasn't said already. He just does the same sort of thing.
I think this whole sequence of them up on deck trying to escape, it's just clunky.
Yeah.
No, this is. We've gone over time. We've got 2 days to film this.
Well, not necessarily, because films aren't filmed in order, are they? So you don't know that, most films aren't filmed in chronological order in which they, it's like, the light's right or blah, 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 we got to get this scene done today. And that could be the final scene for all we know. It's just that, but yeah, I mean, they might, I'm not arguing with you, but, I am, but.
Yeah, but I mean, on that day, it could have been like, the light's right, we're going to film all this today then.
It's just clunky.
It just seemed clunky
It's
and
probably
just rushed.
Michelin-starred chef's got the lunch ready, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you knew about like how the daylight falls and on the or what the light looks like at sea when it's a certain time of day, you could probably spot that some of it was filmed at like 11 o'clock in the morning, but some of it was filmed at 5 o'clock at night when the sun.
Jaws is pretty bad for that.
Yeah,
When you go back and watch it
exactly.
nowadays.
But anyway, so we carry on.
Yeah.
But again, Ashland
No.
No,
is on a. No, he's on his.
he's on a
killing
collision course
spree.
for death.
But he's on his killing spree. No, we know he's bad now. He doesn't care anymore, and he's going for it. We've got a baddie, a physical baddie. We
Yeah.
can at least,
Just not very good at shot.
yeah. To be fair,
Okay.
he's probably drunk.
So meanwhile, the spirits of the crew detect another cruise liner and begin to give chase, ignoring Ashland, who wants to run down the Marshal's raft instead. Trying to retake control of the ship, Ashland storms into the engine room and shoots at the machinery in vain, but instead falls into the steering gear and is crushed to death. His screams of agony echo throughout the ship, joining those of its earlier victims. Above, the Marshals rejoice as the freighter turns and sails away. After drifting for some time, they are spotted by a search helicopter and rescued.
Yeah.
And all... Nope.
There's a little bit. Well, he does.
I thought that was the end, but it's
Oh
not.
no, there is a little bit more.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, shut up.
There's a epilogue. But yeah, old matey gets crushed by the machine and loses a hand, which apparently is an in-joke because he did that in Charade in 1963.
Yeah.
And yeah. I don't know if
Hilarious.
I can see him doing that going, no, it'll be funny if I lose a hand. Like, we've done everything else.
Yeah, let's just chuck that in there.
Yeah. And but it's nice that the family pulled through at the end.
Yeah.
So, so again, the message being, family can overcome Nazis. It's the
So I
story.
think with this, like he's gets his hands crushed and he's crushed to death. It's just they don't do enough to make that more
we don't care,
horror
do we?
film
He's
like. And I
even
know
dead.
we're 30 years, 40 years on, but I'm sure we had this in films at the time. Get him to escape from that with his hand missing and
Yeah.
be up on deck and his hand
shit spraying out of it.
or not even that, just like struggling with his hand and with where his hand was and fall overboard or something. Just make it more of a
I guess that would have
dramatic
taken
life.
time and money
Death rather.
and
Not much
acting.
more. Yeah. He does look like he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah,
to be
he-
fair. It's just like,
I don't
get the
think he was
paycheck.
actually acting at the start. It's like
No.
I just don't like people.
Yeah,
Is it dinner time yet? Where's the
Yeah.
champagne?
I
exactly.
just think it was one of those meetings that everyone was really up for. And then when they got there, they realised what they signed up for.
Well, yeah. Can you imagine the script read through?
Yeah, I bet that bit was really good. It was when they got there and they realised that, there's
Well, to be
always-
fair, the script read through would have only taken a day. There's
Right,
not a lot of words in this film.
They were probably doing it just before they were actually on
we
set.
we just used the script for our notes. But anyway, the family is safe. Nazism is put to rest again.
Well, it's not though, is it? 'Cause
Well, it's not, because the death ship, as shown afterwards, steaming along at full speed, almost as if it was the same scene from earlier, and the ghosts of the crew once again announcing enemy in sight in German. And it heads off for another passenger ship, and the sound of the collision is accompanied with the triumphant blasting of its horn as we fade to black. So it's only gone and done it again.
it's still out there,
Yeah.
even to this day. Another 40 years on.
But it didn't manage to kill all the victims, so it probably needed fuel.
Yeah.
And
Blood.
actually, I was thinking this at the time. Where does it get its fuel from?
Blood.
Blood. It says the ship needs blood.
Yeah, I know, but why would that give off smoke like it does? You can't power a freight
It's
with
ghostly.
blood.
It's just there for,
Yeah.
I just didn't buy that.
It's like when you see sometimes in horror films, ghost films, they're out at night and their breath creates the steam that you would get if you were,
Yeah,
it's just there. It's just
I
that's
was-
what would normally happen. It's
I-
like
I was
it's like
just-
a vestige of memory.
I was just thinking, if you try and burn blood, they're going to end up as like a lot of black pudding. That's
Tasty.
what they should have a sideline like Sweeney Todd selling
Yeah.
black pudding on the
Wasn't it
side.
the thing where they burned their blood to see if they were the alien
Yeah,
or
'cause
not?
it would-
Yeah.
Pop, it
Yeah,
would,
but it didn't
react.
exactly. But it didn't set
So you're
fire to
able-
everything, did it?
It's like they need really. It would have been made much more sense. We just need souls,
Yeah,
something like that,
and
you know?
just cut out the smoke from the chimney.
Yeah, considering there was
Yeah.
no blood in the entire film. Or
Yeah.
anything either. So
Yeah.
it's not like you said, if he was bleeding all over the place at the end, and you see the ship going, or something.
yeah.
Or some little Nazi cleaner just making sure he
in a
Gets all the
Panning
blood.
it
Yeah.
along.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was Death Ship. And an interesting side note that the German TV version was cut by several minutes, and including cutting out nearly all the scenes of violence, dead bodies, and Nazi content. So I don't know what film they got.
Yeah.
It's just some
It had
big
a
on a
runtime
cruise.
of 36 minutes. It was just that continuous shot of the pistons going up and down.
And boobs.
Oh, yeah.
They probably thought it was a porn
But then,
film.
does the shower scene count as violence? Because then they wouldn't have even got the shower scene.
Yeah, good point. What did they get? Did they just put the Benny Hill thing?
they got Happy Ship.
Yeah, it was a ship.
Two ships that meet in the night and then sail off.
And they have a little baby raft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, which the family symbolises.
Brilliant.
But yeah. So what is it? Was it a great idea? Is it one big metaphor? Is it
Oh,
a
don't.
really bad
no.
idea?
No.
I
no.
think.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Oh, come on then.
No, I don't think this, but I did read this.
Come on then,
And it
Dr.
did
Summers.
It did make me laugh. There was a theory that it shows it was like the family overcoming the Nazis, which was like a
Like
thing
every
up.
work into the Sound of Music.
No, like a Sound of Music, like Anne Frank wins kind of thing.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, I don't think they were going that deep.
No.
No, because they weren't Jewish.
Yeah, but I'm just that was one of the things. It was sort of that was a theory that was out there. But other theories are that they didn't have much money and George Kennedy was drunk and
Yeah.
other people didn't really want to be there and it was filmed in about a day. But I think there is actually, to be fair, there is a big thing watching some of the stuff with a lot of the actors in it, that there was a lot more filmed, and apparently this could be one of those earlier examples of a studio just butchering a film to get it out there and
I
releasing
hope so, for the director's sake.
because that does seem to be the main thing. To be fair to what we've just analysed and thrown our eye over, I think the film we got wasn't the
Rakoff cut.
Yeah, it wasn't the one. Yeah. So
Maybe we need to set up a Twitter campaign to restore.
free the Rakoff cut.
Yeah.
Free the Rakoff.
Could you imagine?
No.
We want the Rakoff first reinstated. But again, though, then that does happen a lot, and it's a shame. But
Well, at least most of the actors went on to bigger and better things.
yeah, it's a good start for a lot of people, I suppose. And I just always remember the video cover being awesome because the head on bit of the ghost ship with the skull in it, and that was one of the few I wasn't allowed to take out
No.
as a small child.
Ironically enough, seeing as it's almost TV film thriller type.
Yeah, it was almost
Rather than full-on horror.
Maybe it just had one of those little bits about it that contains boobs. It's like you can't watch that, but you can watch Jason pickaxe someone in the head, but you're not seeing boobs, son. Go and read The Sun. But yeah, who knows? Thoughts, memories from then, memories from now, Paul.
No memories. I probably did see the cover in the video shop because it would have been around. I don't think we ever got it out, ever watched it, thank God. No, it was another one of those. Unfortunately, I was swearing Summers as I was watching it. I just found the whole thing a waste of an hour and 40 minutes or whatever it was. Yeah, and it was a shame because I liked a lot of the actors in it.
As I said, they had talent in there. We mocked it a bit earlier, but I think they fell under the studio hammer of editing. Damien?
I don't think you can defend it when you don't know that for a fact. Yes, some scenes were edited out. It doesn't necessarily mean it was studio interference. It might have just been.
Oh no, that's
my God.
They've been comment. That's what they're saying.
Yeah,
the people behind it.
It's easy to say.
That.
Your George Lucas point is a case, in fact, and Ridley Scott. 40 years later, it's easy to say the studio did this, or
well, they just took
this is my original vision.
Yeah, everyone else. Yeah, they just took everyone else's ideas and went, "That's what we were trying to do."
No, I know, but I'm just saying.
But I know what you mean. Yeah,
I think that's a
Hindsight
flimsy.
101.
Yeah, it's a shame. So it's a really good concept. A Mary Celeste style ship that's not got any crew going around the high seas, destroying and killing, destroying ships and killing its passengers, and it's a real opportunity missed to not necessarily on the gore side of it, but even one of the titles picture on Amazon looks as if the two kids are surrounded by ghosts.
Yeah.
So for what is basically a ghost story, there's not a single ghost in it. If they'd have just spent a little bit more money, they don't have to be skeletons of decomposing bodies and things like that.
They could have just painted them white.
Yeah, exactly. Just back then they could still do that kind of translucent.
Yeah. And it was still okay to dress up as a Nazi in those days.
You could get away with it back then.
Yeah.
So
and the thing is, they did it with the old lady, but did nothing with it. They spent the money to do it, but didn't
exactly. And I think now we'd get that we were questioning, how do they know this was a torture ship? Blah blah blah. I think if this was made now, you'd see a flashback or something.
Yeah.
They'd be looking at the log and they look, this says, and they'd start reading out day one tortured Commander Jeffrey Jones, and then it would cut to Commander Jeffrey Jones being garroted or something. So there's just a lot of missed opportunities in this, but the premise, I really enjoyed the premise.
Yeah, the potential is just left on the table, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just what it could have been.
Exactly, and the script is clunky, the acting's clunky, which is down to the script and direction. Because as we've all mentioned, no one in this film is a bad actor. Some of them might have only just been cutting their teeth in theatrical releases, but
the kids aren't too bad. They seem quite natural at being annoying kids, which is what they're supposed to be.
But yeah, I'm not going to watch this again.
See, I think this is just one of those ones, if it's midnight and they've come back...
You say that about everything.
Yeah, I know,
Why would you ever watch this again? I really don't
There's
get
140-something channels available on Sky, and you happen across this. You're telling me at midnight you happen across Death Ship, and it's 28 minutes in. You're going to go, oh, I'll sit and watch this, rather than keep flicking up.
If I was with some other people, I'd go, watch this. This bit's funny. Yeah. I'm not saying I'd be like, hey, look, this bit's going to scare the shit out of you. I'd be like, watch this bit. And they'd go, oh, look at that. How stupid was that?
Now let's turn over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or let's take the Blu-ray out and put it back on the shelf, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, of course you do.
It was 5 for 30 quid. But,
They paid you £5 for this, did they?
oh, it's gone funny.
What has?
I can't hear anything with my ears.
Maybe it's the ghost.
We can still hear you.
Okay. No, I wasn't sure if we were still recording, was it? 'Cause...
Yeah, we're still recording.
Hello? Oh, yeah, there we go. I don't know. That's weird. Yeah, so it's just one. It's fun to chuck on now and then. But
No,
I get what you mean. If there were other things on, I probably would watch other things.
But you made us watch it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, we're trying to cover all the different. So you guys.
Oh,
go things...
if only there were some other horror films out there that you could have selected.
No, so you guys go for things. I try and
What? Educate
broaden
us?
our horizons.
No, I try and cover all the different. I try and think of the things that go into those other corners.
What, the crap ones that no one wants to...
Okay, let's not fight about it. We're doing a month of horror films, then it's all over with, and we can go back to normal.
But my
I say normal.
Normally, that's where I try and fill in the gaps of maybe things we haven't done, or whatever, rather than just
Yeah,
whack
there's
out
a
a bunch
reason
of
we
films
haven't done them.
Rather than whack out a bunch of films that I might like and just do. I'm like Axel with the Usual Illusions.
You've tuned into the group therapy session for the Cult Faction podcast.
I think it's more of a case you've watched it and you're just trying to share the pain.
Isn't that what we all do in life?
No. Some of us, we isolate that pain from the rest of the world. You could have just said that at the very start last week. Oh, I was going to make you watch Death Ship, but it's crap. Don't.
No, but I think it's important that
What?
we do watch
What
these
important
films
lesson have any of us learned?
Well,
Don't be
people
fooled by the cover of the DVD. That's what we've learned.
don't judge a DVD by its cover.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that could catch on.
Maybe we should have vetoed it.
Yeah.
That's the lessons we learned.
But the lesson is, we're doing it.
To be fair,
so
I would never
people
veto a film called Death Ship. It just sounds too good.
But we've learned a lesson.
Yeah, but
It's not the title.
I don't
it's
think
not the
it's
cover.
not a lesson I'll ever learn.
But again, that's called faction.
Next week when he comes up with Death Bus, I'm going to go, yeah, I will watch that.
Exactly. Put death in front of anything, it's working. Okay, so we need to go around now for our ratings then. Paul.
1 star for Richard Crenna's voice.
Ooh.
That's it. No more.
Damien.
Oh, it's a toughie because I really didn't enjoy it, but I can see some merit in it. I just can't put my finger on what that merit is. I'm going to give it a 2. The premise is really good. Some of the establishing shots are actually quite well done. But then we get the director directing the actors, who we've already said are really good. But in this, they're not. So it's a 2.
That's right, 'cause I was only going to go 3 anyway. I think it's one of those...
So why sorry.
Let's watch it.
And the other reason that elevates it from 1 to 2 is the scene where what's his name is dumped into that net, and you're getting all this. He's in those body parts.
Yeah.
That's quite well done. You know, there's a nice proper rib cage in there.
Yeah.
And spot. You know, it's good. It's a good effect.
It would have been better if Richard Crenna had come on and said, "We're going to need a hell of a lot of body bags."
It would have been better if some of them moved or something. But
They're dead.
You know, I know, but you know,
They're
that's
dead,
what I mean.
Dane.
But make them
They're all dead.
less corporeal and more supernatural.
Yeah.
And then you've got actually, you know, if they're the ones that drown him and pull him down, that would have made it better. Anyway, the fact that they're the you know, you can see a tibia, you can see all different type of bone types in there. It's quite well done. I like, you know,
It's probably what was
realism in my
available at the
skeletons.
butchers on
Yeah.
the day.
Could
Probably
well be.
was. But
But
yeah,
yeah,
I'll
so
go
that
3.
elevates it to a 2.
And great use of stock footage. And again, it's throwaway fun. You can watch it once. You don't need to go back. But I think it is something that you should see once.
No, don't listen to him, listeners.
But
It's
yeah.
like he's possessed by a Nazi captain. He's just trying to get you on that death ship. And let your boredom feed their journey for the next 10 years.
But yeah, it's worth a watch.
No, it's not.
Right then, so that's our verdict on Death Ship. So let's just round it up then. Obviously, for all the latest news and reviews on everything we do, check us out at cultfaction.com, the mothership of our existence. We are available on all social medias, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and probably all the other ones, YouTube and other stuff too. Please rate and review our podcast. Apple Podcasts seems to be the main one everyone likes at the moment. So please give us a listen, give us a review, tick some stars for us. It really does help bump us up those ladders into the ones where people actually can see us.
We watch these films so you don't have to.
Yeah, we're the ghost ship at the moment. But we're not Nazis. But yeah, so if you've got any comments, feedback, reviews, maybe you've watched Ghost Ship, maybe you were in Ghost Ship, maybe you directed Ghost Ship, and you want to contact us, you email us at
cultfactionpodcast@mail.com.
but until then, we'll move on next week where it is Damien's choice of film. What have you got for us, Damien?
It is my choice.
So just to set the scene, so we all choose a film that we all have to watch for the following week, and we have one veto.
I think we should get rid of the veto.
No,
No.
we're keeping the veto.
That's the whole
The
point.
more we go on with this malarkey, the more I
crap
want to
you
keep
bring
the veto.
out and may force us to watch. We might want to use that veto at
Yeah.
some point.
Anyway, mine is in the same era.
Oh God.
So I think it's 1981, so a year later. It's Ghost Story. Now, when you're searching for it or whatever,
No, I'm
make
vetoing
sure
it.
you go for Ghost Story 1981.
Ghost Story,
so Ghost
1981.
Story.
Yeah, because I think there's been at least 4
Yeah.
films, and there's obviously
Who's in it if we're looking for the cast?
so who's in it? Fred Astaire,
Cool.
Douglas Fairbanks Jr., That's probably all you need to know. Cause
I
if
can see it, and it is available on Amazon Prime in the UK.
And I have
For,
seen this
for a
many
red-
years
for
ago.
£3 something if you want to watch it. So if you are playing along at home, it's on there. You may find it on other content providers. Is that the correct term nowadays?
streaming services.
Streaming services.
Call them what you will.
And whatever else you might find films on.
But yeah, Ghost Story. Was I right? 1981?
81.
1981.
And Fred Astaire.
Douglas Fairbanks Jr.
So I guess that's it now. Our ghost ship, our death ship even, is sailing off into the darkness of night to lure more cruisers to our podcast. So it's a goodbye from your captain, Brett Summers.
It's goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from able seaman Damien Hicks.
See you soon.
Ship ahoy.
Oh, it's something else in the twat.
Ooh, get you. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, back again. Don't pop that up.
No.
Ooh, I want you. I don't know if I want you.
Right, you need to speak into the microphone.
That would probably help, wouldn't it? Okay. This is Brett, and I am speaking into the microphone.
He's speaking.
On TikTok, I added pictures from my Magnum 1982 album.
Yes, boss.
Yes, Buzz.
Thought I was a producer.
Oh, for fuck's sake. He can't help himself, can he?